Here is how to consistently lose weight each week without losing muscle mass and ultimately achieving your best physique. So step 1 is to set your target rate of fat loss. The end goal here is to get around about 10% body fat for males, which is going to look something like this, and around 18 to 20% body fat for females, which is going to look something like this. You should aim to lose 0.5 to 1.5% of your body weight per week, and the more fat you have to lose, the faster the rate you should aim for. If you try to aim for too high of a rate of fat loss, you run the risk of losing muscle mass and experiencing diet fatigue, which will usually set in around about the 12 to 16 mark, sometimes earlier if you're more aggressive with your diet. Diet fatigue is going to show up as symptoms such as low libido, poor sleep, poor energy levels, binge eating, shakiness, nausea, and many other issues. So make sure that you're paying attention to these feedback markers throughout your deficit. Towards the end of the video, I will talk you through how to make adjustments and manage fatigue accumulation. Step 2 is setting your macros. To do this, you first need to find out your deficit calories. Because of course, you need to be in a deficit if you want to lose body fat. You can use a calorie calculator to calculate your maintenance calories, then reduce that by 10 to 20%. Again, the more fat you have to lose, the higher the deficit you should aim for. It should be said that you can gain muscle mass and lose body fat at maintenance calories, but if we are looking for the fastest and most consistent results, then a deficit is going to be your best bet. So for example, if your maintenance calories are 3,000 per day, you would aim for 2,400 to 2,700 calories per day. Now you have your calories, we need to set your macros. This is going to help you to maintain more muscle mass, keep you more satiated throughout your fat loss journey, and optimize your training performance and recovery. So set your protein targets at 0.7 to 1.5 pounds per body weight, and the leaner you are, the higher the number you should aim for. Higher protein has been shown to lower your perception of diet difficulty, which is awesome. And the higher thermic effect of protein in comparison to carbohydrates and fats means that it will also increase your metabolic rate. Now take 10 to 25% of your total calories, and that is going to go towards fats. Divide that by 9, and that is your fat target in grams per day. Now what we want to do is take that 10 to 25% of your calories from your fat and multiply your protein targets by 4. Add those together, subtract that from your total caloric intake, and divide that number by 4. That is going to be your carbohydrate intake. So essentially the remainder of your calories are going to come from carbohydrates. Remember that we want to keep carbohydrates on the higher end to maintain training performance and retain muscle mass, again helping you achieve your best physique. Also, it's been shown in literature that bodybuilders who had a higher carbohydrate intake versus those who had a lower carbohydrate intake were able to sustain more muscle mass by the end of their prep and more strength. If we go back to our first example, let's say that you set your calories at 2,500 as your starting point. If you weigh 200 pounds, then your protein intake is going to be 200 grams, which is 800 calories. Your fat intake would be 41.5 grams, which is 373.5 calories, and your carbs would be 331.5 grams, which is 1,326.5 calories. Step 3 is meal timing. Aim to have 3 to 5 meals per day, ideally splitting your protein intake evenly across these meals. Again, taking the example from above, that would mean 50 grams of protein if you're having 4 meals a day, and 40 grams of protein per meal if you're having 5 meals a day. And prioritizing more of your energy through the carbohydrates around your workouts. If you're trying to retain as much muscle mass as possible, then fasting is not going to be ideal. Yes, it can be a useful tool in maintaining a deficit, but it can make retaining muscle mass less possible. So instead of fasting, we're gonna add more volume through vegetables and fruits, so micronutrient dense, low caloric foods. And step 4 is tracking and adjusting. So we wanna track our body weight daily, our biofeedback daily, photos at least every 2 weeks, measurements monthly, training and nutrition daily. If your weight isn't moving after 1 to 2 weeks, you can decrease your calories by 100 to 200 per day, and increase your step count by 1 to 2,000 per day. You can also add in an additional cardio session, or you can add 5 to 10 minutes on top of your existing sessions. And if too much fatigue is accumulating, like I suggested at the start of the video, introduce a diet break or refeed. A diet break is a period of 7 to 14 days. You simply raise your caloric intake by 20 to 30% through carbohydrates, keep your fat and proteins the same, and for a training deload or taper, reduce the number of working sets by half, sticking to the same exercises you are already doing and at the same load. If fatigue is manageable, Keep cardio and output the same. Or you can opt for a refeed, which lasts for 24 to 72 hours of back-to-back days at higher calories. You just repeat these steps, so increase your energy availability by 20 to 30% through carbohydrates, keep your fats and protein the same, but make no adjustments to your training or cardio at this time. If fatigue is way too high, you can reduce your step count slightly. Now, if you're still confused and not seeing results, book in a call using the link in the description because we need to have a chat.